'Cause I remember lying on the dock at night.
Many bidders turned up to buy a precious commodity in February at the CRTC's Spectrum auction. The process started in 2009 when Industry Canada decided to end applications on new licenses in the 700 MHz bandwidth. This included the use of wireless microphones. As of March 2010, the microphones that allow freedom of movement on a stage would be removed from the market. But this move has left nonprofit organizations wondering just how they'll replace expensive sound systems, many of which were paid for through donations and fundraising. John Rosefield is a live sound engineer with Carleton University. He explains the challenges brought on by the removal of wireless mics from the 700 MHz bandwidth.
So where wireless mics fit into the spectrum, typically wireless mics are kind of from the low 500 megahertz to the low 800 megahertz range. That's kind of the space allocated for wireless mics in Canada. With them reclaiming the 700 megahertz range, that's a big chunk, close to half the range gone. It's problematic because there are lots of individual frequencies within that spectrum, but just the way that wireless mics work, you can't have two wireless mics necessarily exactly beside each other in the frequency spectrum because of the dynamic range of the voice and the nature of the transmission. They'll interfere with each other.
How important was that 700 band wavelength to a theater like this?
I can have a clean sounding system, and then I put 400 people in the room, and each one of them is bringing in a handheld device, or I won't necessarily pick up their conversation because it's a different type of transmission, but the wireless frequencies that they're using will interfere or sort of impede on the frequencies that I might be using.
Rosefield has heard of groups getting fined because they are still operating on the older systems, even though it's illegal.
All it would take would be for someone to stand outside the theater with a scanner and go, oh, I can see that you are broadcasting on that frequency. That's illegal, and they could hit us with a big fine. There are a lot of churches, for example, that use wireless mics that don't have budget, and all of a sudden they're out of microphones. So there's places that are not going to be able to replace their microphones, and they'll probably keep using what they have just because it's what they have until either they get caught or they don't get caught. It's just something that a lot of people have had to swallow and work around. But people aren't just going to decide to not use wireless mics. They're just a huge part of the industry.
Rosefield says it's unfortunate costs of this ban have been downloaded onto the individual user. Manufacturers did hand out small rebates initially, but full replacement costs can run around $700 per microphone. For Capital News, I'm Samantha Power.